What's up? Are we live? I feel like we should be live already on this one. Can y'all see me yet? Hear me? Everything is fine? All right. Y'all can hear me? Let's get to it because Mahershala Ali has had enough and he finally spoke out. And this is what caused it. During the Spider-Man Brand New Day rollout, this question was asked, and this is important.
How much time in therapy have you spent talking about Blade? This poor product. We just need to get this done, Kevin. How are you doing?
Therapy. Should we get into a therapy session?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we all want it. Mahershala wants it. How are you feeling at this moment?
I'm feeling very excited that we got Wesley back for a time in Deadpool and Wolverine, and like a gigantic loser and failure that we didn't get off the ground with Mahershala.
Is there a world where Secret Wars is 2 films?
Not this world.
No.
No.
Okay. How? Doomsday sticking to its release date?
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. What does the MCU look like in a nutshell coming out of Secret Wars? Is it do you consider this a reboot?
No, but I look to the comics as I always do in terms of our storytelling, and after both the Secret Wars, but particularly the Hickman Secret Wars from 10 years ago, there's a nice roadmap to where we can go.
And last thing for you, how many X-Men have you cast that I just don't know about? Are people signed on right now for X-Men actors?
Not necessary.
No, this is...
So, now, he says, unfortunately, he couldn't move on. He feels disappointed they couldn't move on with Mahershala Ali. Was excited they had Wesley back just for the one movie, not under contract, but was excited everywhere else around the board. Now, here's where the problems are going to come in at, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah, there's some major problems. major problems on the horizon. Now, I think you misunderstand what this truly is. No. I think that is a major misconception. So the Blade movie has turned into a big epic problem. Yes, completely out of the blue. Well, let's put it this way. When you do things and they're not correct, the people around you will notice more than anybody else in the globe. They will look at you and say, oh no, that's not how this is going to go down. That's exactly where we at right now with the Blade situation. The Blade movies have definitely taken a direction where they said they feel like a loser and a failure that they couldn't get that off the ground. And Mahershala Ali lost his mind because he's sick and tired every year since they did that in 2019. This is before the pandemic. They had the announcement they were bringing back Blade. All of this was strenuous off of the success of Black Panther. They was like, man, Black Panther was a hit. We need to ride this wave. I know exactly what to do to bring us full circle all the way around. You know what we need? Blade. Everybody's been asking for Blade. This is gonna be our new Black Panther. Black is in. So they like, okay, cool. The movie that saved the franchise. And then they had the Black Knight, who they were gonna pretty much pair those people, those two characters together. And once the Eternals came out and they showed up at the end, and you hear Mahershala Ali saying, "You sure you want to do that?" Is when he wants to grab the blade from the Black Knight. And once the Black Knight and Blade, team up in this movie, this was supposed to be the most epic thing you wanted to see. But we didn't get that. Know what we got? We get Blood Rain. I think it wasn't the name Blood Rain. If I'm not mistaken, Blood Rain or something like that. Remember Blade's daughter? What was her name? Not Blood Rain, but Bloodline. That was her name. Bloodline, right? Eric Brooks, Blade. Then they had Brielle Brooks, Bloodline, his teenage daughter. And she's half human, half vampire, got her powers. So nobody had defined her sexuality in the comics. But Marvel wanted to define her sexuality in the films. And that was going to present a lot of problems in the Blade movie. You're bringing Blade back. You know what I'm saying? You're bringing Blade back. And this is what we get out of it. So when so when you finally back him in the corner to where his contract is out, things started to change. They kept switching directors. They kept switching from right, exactly. But Mahershala Ali basically appeared at that Comic-Con in 2019, and that was it. But they fired Basim Tariq. Well, no, he didn't. They didn't fire him. He quit. He said, "Oh, I'm not doing this. We're not agreeing to go in this direction. It's not about because the character is gay. It's like they were trying to say, oh, what do you have a problem with gays and all of this? That wasn't the issue. The issue is this is supposed to be Blade's first movie in like 2 decades. You almost haven't seen a Blade movie in so long. And we're going to reintroduce him again being a sidekick in his own film. That's how you did Blade 3. You put other characters with Blade and made Blade a sidekick, Blade and Friends. It's like you reintroducing Blade, you reintroduce Blade. Then if you want to have his daughter down the road, and you could put that in like a third part of the act. You don't make the whole movie about Blade and his daughter's doing more than him. It doesn't make sense. So the script doesn't make sense. Mahershala Ali is not just going to say, hey, all right, give me anything, I'm going to act in it. He's someone who already has a career. So if you're going to pull that, you're not going to use Mahershala Ali's name and run it into the ground. Like, he's too smart for that. It's not going to work. He's been in this game a long time. So, Vasim Tariq has teamed up on this new movie called Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother. And I'm going to see that too. I saw the trailer. I'm intrigued to see that. And him and Mahershala Ali teamed up to do that with Amazon. And they said, hey, when I look at this and Blade, I couldn't have done both. And the reason that even exists is because that project fell apart and Bazim had the time, space, and energy and focus to go and write this and, reapproach me. And he said, I was able to use those skills that I had been working on for over the years of training for Blade in the way that I feel creatively redeemed on some level in this journey. So that's what all the stuff he was working on, Blade, is going to be in this movie. Working with choreographers, doing moves, all of this, learning all these moves. Marvel's paying for all of this. So they had him under contract. So they had to continuously pay Mahershala Ali to not do movies. This is why you see him in a lot of stuff, because they were paying him to not be in movies because they're going to use him for Blade. Meanwhile, they keep screwing it all up. I could understand that. But like they said, they didn't simply want to put a leather outfit on him and have him killing vampires, is what Kevin Feige said. He wanted it to be unique, and he fell into a time where he started pulling back and saying only accept insanely great. And it wasn't insanely great at the time. And, we didn't feel like, as we often do, you can have a good script and make it a great script through production. We didn't feel confident that we could do that on Blade. And we didn't want to do that to Mahershala and didn't want to do that to us. So now he's happy to be doing this instead of Blade. And he said, when I look at what it is for me, if it was either this or that, I'll take this. No offense to them. I've been doing this for years now. But it's not, is not. For whatever the reason, that project is not for me. If they would do it, we would have done it. So I have to move on. And I have moved on. And again, you had me under contract. They have billions of dollars. If they wanted to make the movie, we would have done the movie. So we're not doing the movie. So let that be known. If they wanted to do the movie, we would have done this movie. He's not going for the banana in the tailpipe. He knows exactly what time it is. But see, neither one is telling you what the real problem was. I've been knowing the problem because I've been following it since its inception. The major problem was this bloodline daughter of Blade. Marvel kept pushing the fact they want this daughter to be the face of the damn franchise. I needed to be special. They want his gay daughter, her relationship, her fight with her sexuality to be front and center in this movie. Mahershala Ali said, hey, wait a minute. Like, what are we doing? I don't blame them. What are we doing? If that's the case, if we're gonna move in that direction, that's not gonna make any sense down the road. Yeah, y'all don't even know. They're trying not to tell you. Mahershala know, Kevin Feige know, and if anybody else was around and they've been paying any attention, they know too. All the holdup in this film, everything that's been going wrong in this film, it's been because of one specific reason. And the specific reason was clear and concise. That specific reason oh, thank you. I know everybody was. But that specific reason they wanted a gay Blade. Now, everybody thought it was like making Mahershala Ali gay, but no, his daughter. So Mahershala walks away. Dude, you wasted 5 years. 5 years. Oh, the script is horrible. The script was horrible. They've rewritten this script like 5 times. They've fired so many directors. People quit because they were like, dude, I can't work like this. Then they're like, y'all in the Black Knight. You had the Black Knight in the movie, Blade. He was featuring with Blade. So to promote the Black Knight, which they want to get off the ground, here they are with Blade. Red flag 1. They never thought about it like that. They never thought about let's go to the next level. How far could this get off the ground? They're not thinking about stuff like that. What they're thinking about, how will this affect us? Marvel had one job and one job only. And that's all they wanted to do. I don't I don't mind Bloodline being in there. All right, I'm just not about having the nonsense. Do you know who Mia Goth is? You know Mia Goth played Pearl, right? So she was in Pearl. She was a success, a big hit in that. She's in the actual movie. She's in the actual movie, The Odyssey, and this has been a growing thing. Stop remaking movies. Well, here's the thing. Marvel Studios, and they had Blade in the production for so long, they could have gotten 3 movies out of that series out by now. But there's so many different versions of this script that they couldn't keep getting a director to stick along with. But this was set in the 1920s. This is what the script starts with. Blade in the 1920s. I kid you not. So, here's the thing. Once Basim left, right, he quit. He said, I can't deal with all these people at Marvel. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. These people, I don't know what they're trying to make, but they don't want me to do it, that obviously. So then this other guy came in named Jan DeMage. So Jan DeMage comes in. Yeah, well, so Mia Goth was playing a vampire called Lilith. Okay. So they were going all the way back to tell the story of Lilith, who's the vampire and who played Pearl. She was the main vampire. And Lilith was going after Blade's daughter in the 1920s. Bloodline. Yeah, Eric Pearson, who wrote some scripts for Marvel in the past, is giving the screenplay another rewrite, and we finding another director to come in there. Next thing you know, DeMage was out as director. So it had like 5 directors, 4 writers. This thing was never getting off the ground. So now the studio is switching, saying we're not doing the 1920s thing. Let's set to modern day instead of a period piece, which Mahershala Ali wanted to do more than anything. So now they're going to use the same characters, Mia Goth, Mahershala Ali and the actor that's playing in Bloodline, I mean Black Knight, he's in there. And all of this is expected to be long delays for Blade. As you know, his lawyers was commenting on it and saying that this role has been a problem because since 2019, there's been 2 directors, multiple writers, and after 5 years, who knows how long are you and people going to keep waiting for a Blade movie? So Wesley Snipes is going to play the character that makes the formulas for Blade and give him all of his magic for his weapons, his garlic, all that, you know. That's the role Wesley Snipes was going to play, which they wasn't going to bring Wesley at all. Then they was like, okay, we're going to put Wesley in as a cameo for that. Then it goes from that to him popping up in Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, and having them all die by Goliath, or what's his name, Eliath, or whatever that big cloud was. That was supposed to be the death of Wolverine. But somebody came and saved Gambit before he died. But Blade died. But it was all off camera, so you didn't see who died and who didn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they never casted Blade's daughter yet. They wanted to get the main stars taken care of and then move on from there. So they had Mia Goth, and then they had Mahershala Ali as he was going to be facing Lilith. And Lilith, and first it was the 1920s, and I'm like, the 1920s. So they made it more modern. They realized the 1920s was a very bad idea. So let's go into another direction that makes some sense. Well, the way I see it is Mahershala Ali had done so much of a disservice to himself by taking that approach that everyone around him didn't seem to understand the concept of what they were trying to accomplish. And once you lose sight of that, it becomes a more bigger problem on the horizon than you've ever imagined. So yeah, he adamantly stated, "I'm out," because he's tired of every year they do a Comic Con. They come to him because Kevin Feige keeps saying all of these different things. So he's like, "Fine, I'm gonna speak now," and he let it be known, "I'm out." Anything y'all talking about doing with me, not happening. I am out. OUT. He said being black was his weakness. Darwin, the man who literally power is he can adapt to anything. They had to wipe him out completely. That was very weird how Kevin Bacon was able to take him out. Well, you're seeing a difference here. And the difference is this. When people have ability to do things, they can be unstoppable because they possess those abilities. Fade away. Yeah, I didn't want to see a love scene with Blade's daughter. First off, Blade's daughter was going to be a light-skinned vampire that ended up coming from some white vampire. I mean, some white lady he ended up being with hundreds of years ago that he didn't know she had gotten pregnant and didn't know she was a vampire. It was something so stupid. Mahershala Ali said no. That storyline makes no sense. Blade would be as a vampire. He's half vampire, half human, but he can't tell this is a vampire. That's literally one of his powers, is he could smell that from a mile away. So he out here slaying vampires, but he just had to get some jungle fever. Couldn't go without it. I know I'm supposed to be out here slaying these vampires, but man, these white hoes. I can't resist. Really? So yeah, and that's when Ryan Reynolds looked like at the screen, like, because they're not gonna do the Blade movie, and mostly because of the failure of all their other movies. They failed with the Celestials, so they said, "Oh well, we'll make that back up," and they started to fail at all of their films. All their movie projects started to fall at the wayside. That's what I be talking about. Eternals is not a bad movie. That's another thing I keep trying to get people to understand. Eternals is not a bad movie. Stop falling for that. The Eternals are not a bad film. You know what was bad? All the other projects that came along with it. That was bad. Ugh. All these other people who didn't spend time trying to figure out the game figured them out. All those Blade scripts came and went. Every single last one. How could I put this in proper illustration? They were terrible. Well, mm-hmm. No, Yeah, the movie is dead. The movie was dead when they put Wesley Snipes in as Blade. They knew they were never making this movie. They were paying Mahershala Ali for like 4 to 5 years to not appear in things. He was in training to play Blade. All of the stuff that he's done now is in this new movie called Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother. That's the movie I want to see. Because he doing all the Blade stuff in this movie. So if you're going to see him Blade as not Blade, do all the training, all the stuff he was training to do in this movie. Mm-hmm. No, they just did him dirty. You know, that was my thing. Blade movie kept changing directors. Well, they decided to scratch it all together. Yeah, in 2025, November 7th, it was supposed to come out. They didn't even get to the filming part. And they said, well, it didn't fit into the phase of Marvel. Well, not this new one. Well, first of all, the budget was going to be 100 million. They wanted to spend a budget of 100 million, at least 110. One of the smallest budgets Marvel has spent for a movie, for Blade. Lilith is supposed to be powerful.
Following Blade across decades as he hunted European vampires, with Mia Goth as Lilith, a vampire villain seeking the blood of Blade's daughter. At one point, the reboot even morphed into a female-led drama, when Blade himself was reduced to a supporting role in his own movie. Over the last several years, Blade has cycled through nearly a dozen writers, multiple directors, and countless creative overhauls, as the project has been constantly delayed. To find out what the hell has been going on, let's dive in and take a look at what could have been Mahershala Ali's Blade. Blade saved Marvel. No, it really did. Before Spider-Man swung onto screens, or the the X-Men united under Xavier, Marvel was drowning in debt and desperate for a hit. Their film rights were scattered across Hollywood, and the company itself had filed for bankruptcy just a few years earlier. Then came Blade in 1998, a dark, R-rated vampire thriller produced by New Line Cinema and starring Wesley Snipes. Few expected it to work, but it did, spectacularly. The film's success proved that Marvel characters could thrive on the big screen, paving the way for X-Men and Spider-Man. Without Blade, the Marvel superhero boom and the Marvel Cinematic Universe itself might never have happened. A lot of Blade's success can be credited to its writer, David Goyer, who would later co-write the Dark Knight trilogy alongside Christopher Nolan. When New Line first began developing Blade, the studio actually toyed with turning Blade into a spoof, and even questioned whether the character should be white to appeal to a broader audience. But Goyer convinced the studio to take the character seriously, and refused to alter Blade's race, insisting that his identity was central to who he was. As Goyer began writing, he realized the comic book version with his bright jacket, neon glasses, and wooden daggers wouldn't work in the modern era. So he reimagined Blade for the 90s, turning him into a stoic, sword-wielding vampire hunter modeled after a samurai. However, it was Wesley Snipes who brought the character to life. He didn't just play Blade, he became him, bringing a swagger and intensity that made the character iconic and incredibly cool. The success of Blade led to 2 sequels, but the third film became a notorious production nightmare. By that point, Snipes was facing serious legal troubles over unpaid taxes, leading to clashes with nearly everyone on set. Reports surfaced of Snipes refusing to film scenes with the cast, communicating only through post-it notes signed from Blade, and staying in character for the entire shoot. The film wasn't well received on release, and not long after, Snipes was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to prison, effectively derailing any future Blade sequels. However, without Snipes, Blade director Stephen Norrington began developing a prequel centered on Stephen Dorff's Deacon Frost, exploring the character's rise to power before the events of the first film. The idea had potential, a stylish vampire underworld saga that could have expanded the Blade universe, and never got off the ground, as the project quietly faded away before ever reaching production. And part of that reason is because in 2011, Marvel reacquired the rights to Blade from New Line Cinema, opening the door for the Daywalker to finally join the MCU. Snipes, now out of prison, made it clear he wanted to return to the role. He believed there were still stories to tell, and felt he could bring even more to the character, not just as an actor, but as a martial artist. With years of new training and experience under his belt, Snipes expressed a desire to suit up as Blade again, and showcase moves and techniques he'd mastered since the original trilogy. Not long after, Underworld star Kate Beckinsale pitched a crossover film between the franchises, with Snipes returning as Blade, but Marvel declined, as they had other plans and don't do crossovers with other franchises. When Mahershala Ali appeared in Netflix's Luke Cage, Marvel Television had already been exploring the idea of reviving Blade as another street-level series, similar to Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage itself. Ali, however, had something very different in mind. On the day Luke Cage premiered, he asked his agent what Marvel was doing with Blade, telling him he wanted to take on the role. The interest was mutual, as Marvel wanted to cast him in the show they were developing, but Ali refused, insisting that Blade deserved a feature film treatment, not a small screen revival. Ali had always admired Wesley Snipes' portrayal of the character, not just as a stylish action hero, but as the darker, more mature corner of Marvel's universe. Growing up, people often told him he resembled Snipes, and the idea of one day stepping into the role stuck with him. Ali believed Blade could anchor a major cinematic story within the MCU. His passion and persistence ultimately convinced Marvel to abandon its television plans and reboot Blade as a full-fledged film, with Ali leading the charge. When the reboot was announced, many fans were surprised, including Wesley Snipes himself. Though he hadn't been informed ahead of time, Snipes handled the news with grace, saying, "Such is the business of entertainment." He congratulated Ali on landing the role, told fans he'd be a great Blade, and expressed his continued support for Marvel, assuring fans that he'd always remain a fan of the franchise. Marvel began searching for a director for Blade with a short list that prioritized black filmmakers, eventually selecting Bassam Tariq, whose vision for the project impressed everyone involved. However, the film quickly ran into trouble during development. The initial script reportedly ran only about 90 pages and featured just 2 underwhelming action set pieces, prompting Marvel to bring in Moon Knight and X-Men 97 writer Bo DeMeo for a rewrite. However, DeMeo wrote 3 drafts of the script and a dozen outlines of what he called 3 impossible months of work. The last treatment he wrote, which he calls his favorite, took heavy inspiration from The Raid, a 2011 Indonesian action film known for its brutal, non-stop combat and claustrophobic setting. In The Raid, a small SWAT team bites its way floor by floor through a high-rise controlled by a ruthless crime lord, battling endless waves of enemies in bone-crunching close-quarters action. DeMeo envisioned a similar setup for Blade, reimagining the Daywalker trapped inside a decrepit apartment apartment building, defending its human tenants from hordes of vampires until sunrise. The story's villain was Varney, the ancient vampire lord said to be the first of his kind and the source of all vampires in the Marvel Universe. Within the complex, Blade would have crossed paths with Jericho Drum, who in the comics Voodoo, living as one of the tenants. Drum reveals that the vampire assault is tied to a woman in the building whom Blade has grown close to, as she's been magically impregnated with Lilith, the mother of all demons, by a group of Darkhold cultists secretly living among the residents. The concept was pitched as 30 Days of Night meets Rosemary's Baby within the claustrophobic, action-heavy framework of the raid. The climax would have forced Blade to make a devastating choice, as he debated having to kill the woman and her unborn child to keep the mother of evil out of Varney's grasp, although in the end, Drum uses ancient voodoo artifacts to help the Daywalker finally defeat him. During his time on the project, DeMeo claimed he was subjected to racist remarks from studio executives, including jokes that Marvel had hired a young Wesley Snipes to write the script, and a comment made at the Atlanta production office that somebody needed to crack the whip around here. He said he was removed from the film shortly after raising concerns with Marvel leadership while preparing to move to Atlanta for production. Variety, however, later reported that DeMeo's dismissal was due to allegations of sexual misconduct rather than workplace discrimination. Regardless, the studio also began to lose confidence in director Bassem Tariq, who had little experience handling a major blockbuster. As production delays piled up, Tariq was let go from the project. Behind the scenes, Ali was said to be increasingly frustrated with the constant rewrites and shifting creative direction, while accusing Kevin Feige of being spread too thin as the Marvel president struggled to juggle multiple Marvel productions at once. The project continued to cycle through a revolving door of writers and rewrites, with each new draft taking the story in a drastically different direction. At one point, the script reportedly shifted into a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons, with Blade himself reduced to a supporting role, the fourth lead in his own movie. Marvel even built a massive train set for Tariq's version of the film, intended to be a major action sequence centerpiece. However, after the director's departure and the project's creative overhaul, the set went unused, as Disney now plans to repurpose it for another production. Frustrated with Marvel's reliance on relatively untested filmmakers, Ali took it upon himself to find a new director. Wanting someone with a stronger command of tone and experience, he personally handpicked Yann Demange, known for 71 in HBO's Lovecraft County, to helm the project. Ali also played a key role in bringing in True Detective creator Nick Pizzolatto to write the project, having worked closely with him on season 3 of the HBO series. David Goyer once revealed that his original vision for
I'm sorry, guys. My battery died, so I won't blame them for that. My phone battery died. I didn't realize it was that close. But I want to say, now you know the truth about what happened with the script. There's more to this. It was many more rewrites, many more 5 writers, all of them. All gone. Every idea they came up with got wiped out. Instead of them just making the movie and filming it, Marvel would have had a hit on their hand. They don't care about that. And you hear all the racism that was going on behind the scenes with making Blade. Lets you know that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people just don't know. Yeah, Marvel wanted to put the gay daughter in there. They wanted to do a prequel to Blade before all that happened. But once Marvel got involved and they came up with all these scripts about the vampires and that, and coming up with one that's more of an arc built around the character of Mahershala Ali, he's not finna go. Mahershala Ali is not, if you're gonna do Blade, if you're Marvel, you can't use Mahershala Ali. You can't use an actor that everybody knows. You better use an actor nobody knows, because they can go along with whatever program you got in place. Mahershala Ali got work lined up. He ain't got to deal with Marvel. You paid him 5 years, millions of dollars. Like, he's paid like up the wazoo. So he gets to use all the stuff he's been training for Blade. all that martial arts stuff. He gets to use all of that in this new movie. Your mother, your mother, your mother. I want to see that movie. Because this is what Blade could have been. Yes, a lot of parts of this movie was supposed to be in Blade. So that's why I'm really intrigued, because this is basically the script that they rejected. So fine, we're gonna name it something else, use Mahershala Ali, and let y'all go with it. The Sentry could kill Doom if Doom. Sentry's power is through the sun. Doom could crush Sentry with ease if he has his celestial powers. All depending on what time you're running into Doom. Because somebody said, well, no, we never really gotten into all of that, but I did cover that part on Spider-Man. They said something really stupid in the movie and said it like it meant something smart. Like, why couldn't Thanos use the stones to make more food? Like, what? I thought that was the dumbest statement ever. I was like, and it's like, well, if they were overpopulated, why couldn't he just make more food? Use that to make more food. It's like, he didn't have the stones. He just got the stones. The whole planet had been wiped out already. Like, what do these want? I don't think none of these people read the scripts. I'm like, did you watch the films? Did you like read the scripts? What do you mean make more food? He didn't have the gauntlet with him back then. If he did that, hell, he'd have solved the problem right then and there. He had to locate them. God damn. They made it like it was easy to just get on some, just grab a glove and snap, make more food. Jesus Christ. That's why they call it movies, folks. Yeah, we'll find out where everybody is. But yeah, let me get out of here and get some things cooking. Talk to y'all later. Peace.